right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to another season of OKC Renegades football. This is game day. It's kind of snuck up on us, I feel like. At least to me. It was a long all season, and then all of a sudden, bam, season's here. Of course, our season's starting a week later than everyone else's. We, unfortunately didn't get the convention weekend game. Odd number of teams, least amount of players. Makes sense. I kind of predicted that would happen, but still doesn't feel good. Little chip on the shoulder. That helps motivate you. But yeah, let's get into everything. First things first, not football related, but as an OKC team, I'd like to congratulate the OKC Thunder, champions of a little league you may have heard of called the NBA. Hopefully, we can maybe surprise everybody and bring a championship to OKC as well. But first things first, our season starts tonight against the Minnesota Legend. So, the Minnesota Legends started their season at the convention against the Chicago Warriors, and that game did not go the way anyone outside of Chicago and Chicago players expected. Chicago, with no signed running back, took it to Minnesota, doubled them up 35-17 with a safety at the end of the game. Minnesota's offense had issues. Reno threw 3 interceptions. They really couldn't get things going too well, scoring an average of just over a touchdown and a half, which should, if we can put out the same defensive effort as Chicago, that would be huge to hold them to 17. But Minnesota's strength is defense, and like I said, they let Chicago score 35 on them. Like, to be fair though, some of that was not their defense's fault. But with that said, one of Minnesota's disadvantages is they didn't know what to expect, because it's first game. First game, you never know what to expect from your opponents, which gives us an advantage because this is our first game, and Minnesota does not know what to expect. So hopefully we can come out, hit them with something unexpected. Our defense can hold up, and we can sneak out a win of this game. Speaking of our defense and our offense, let's tell you who's on our defense and offense. So, all right, this is your Season 25 Oklahoma City Renegades. At quarterback, we have King Jackson. A little bit of a different quarterback than we had last year. Got some good speed. Hopefully, that'll help counteract some of the issues we have with our O-line. Speaking of which, spoiler alert, we still don't have any signed offensive linemen. But let's continue on. At halfback, we have Tom Rahman. You might remember him as Frank Udon. He's greatly improved. I'm very excited to see how he does, because he is like way, way better than he was last season. Unfortunately, he's our only running back, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, to be fair, our number 2 running back wasn't much better than a unsigned running back. We move on to your wide receivers for the Oklahoma City Renegades. We have Christian Bachkalupi returning. We have Dallas Sanders returning. And we also have Queen Jackson, who should be able to stretch the field with her speed, which gives us a lot different look. The aerial attack. Before I get into the aerial attack, we do need to look at one more thing. The tight ends. We have Tiberius Bovine moving back to tight end. Hall of Famer caliber tight end. Stephen McMichaels, who made the All-Star game last season. And then Jonathan Kilgore, who's an up-and-coming tight end, who's improved greatly. This will be very interesting to see what we can do with this group. I don't know our game plan. I imagine there'll be a lot of passing going on. And with our tight ends, 3 of them, I kind of expect us to keep tight ends back to block a little on those edges, especially. But we'll see. That's one of the... No one knows what's coming except for our coaches and owner. Now let's... excuse me. Let's move over to... let's look at the offense for 1 second. With no offensive lines, at most, we're going to have 6 of those names listed on the field at one time, because you only have 1 quarterback, obviously. And then you have 5 position or skill players between the halfback, running back, and tight ends. So we have 7 guys to fill 5 positions. So that really gives us a lot of room to what we can do. And I imagine one of the tight ends might fill up some fullback, as long as we don't give them 10 carries in a game, which I don't think we ever gave a fullback 10 carries in the game, except for maybe once, because we did have one game where we ran the fullback. That was like the game plan. But I'm sure that's not the deal, and I'm pretty sure that's still the rule of the league, is anyone listed not as a halfback cannot get more than 10 carries in a game. All right. Now, let's look at the defense. Your starting defensive tackle, Harrison Kilgore. He's a new young player. As well on the defensive line, Shin Yonita. Your young defensive line. Those are only 2 defensive linemen. Then we have 2 outside linebackers. The return of Sabo Kanan, who is definitely Hall of Fame caliber, and Aaron Gooden, who played really well last season. Both those linebackers come back. Now in a 3-4-4-3, we only have 4 guys out of the 7 positions if we run a 3-4-4-3 formation. So that will make things a little holy on the defense, but Sabo Cannon can make up for some of that, if you ask me personally. Now let's move over to the secondary. We have Thomas Rahman Jr., Pharaoh Reigns, and Sammy Seatbelt III all at cornerback. Unfortunately, tonight, it doesn't look like we'll have Pharaoh Reigns, though. That could hurt us. But, I mean, if we're running a 3-4 or 4-3, we're only going to have 2 cornerbacks out there anyway. And then we have at free safety, Brady Clark. And at strong safety, we have Thomason Rahman. So, defensive-wise, we have like 3 holes in our defense. We could use another 3 defensive line / linebackers in the mix. That could be an issue, but it's an improvement on last year. We have a full secondary starting for a 3-4-4-3 formation. It really sucks not having Reigns tonight, because that kind of takes away having a strong nickel defense. which would also fill a hole left by not having more than having more than 4 defensive line / linebackers in the box. Hopefully he'll come back next week. And also, what you can do with that extra cornerback in a 3-4-4-3, put him at outside linebacker. I mean, that's more of something like what we saw with a couple years ago in the NFL, where San Diego Chargers put a bunch of secondary players at linebacker to do with Lamar Jackson. But then a big improvement from last season, we have a kicker, and a pretty good kicker, in Judah Dorgan. So all those times we were in field goal position for a normal team with a kicker that we had to punt, now we can kick some field goals. Now we can that'll affect the game much differently. So we'll see how that goes. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for tonight. Game day, 8:45 Central Time, 9:45 Eastern Standard Time on YouTube on the Virtual Football Network. Join us. Root us on for a win. Let's get it. See you next time. Whenever that is, the whole podcast and social media, the work in progress for this season. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how we go. Hopefully, very well. Peace.